Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. My name is Azra, and I will be your moderator for today. Thank you so much for everyone who's tuning in. And okay, our webinar for today. Okay, the overall objective, the real objective of us creating this webinar today is to help Malaysian SMEs to grow their business online and find export business opportunities through the B2B e-commerce platform with government grant support. So an ultimate guide for your export business with government grant support, that is the title for our webinar today. And from today's sharing, you can expect to learn how the Malaysian government grant support can support your export business in this pandemic. You get to find out how to protect and maximize your intellectual property in the international markets. Learn how going digital can actually help your export business grow globally. And at the end of the session, you'll be able to know too how to succeed in this export business like one of our successful clients. Okay, without further ado. Hi, okay, a lot of people are saying hi in the comment section. Hi, thank you so much for joining in. Okay, without further ado, let me introduce the guest speaker that we have for today. Okay, our first speaker, he is an assistant manager in the program unit eTrade under the digital trade section for Malaysia External Trade Development Corporation, MATRADE. His responsibilities in the unit are very encouraging the participation of Malaysian companies in international e-commerce, promoting the e-trade program to Malaysian companies, and managing the applications and inquiries in regards to the e-trade program. Here is Mr. Adwa with us today.
Hi, hello everyone.
Hi, Mr. Adwa. It's so nice to have you with us today. Thank you so much for your time. Okay, let me intro you guys to our second speaker for today. Okay, she's a director of KASS International, a very well-established intellectual property firm in Malaysia. She joined KASS in 2006, and she has been instrumental in growing the firm from a 7-man firm located in one country to a 45-man firm with a presence in 6 countries. She frequently shares her IP expertise on BFM 89.9, Bernama TV, and she has also contributed articles to various local and overseas publications. She was recognized for her exceptional work in the IP field by Prestige magazine in 2010, where she made it into the top 10 of Malaysia's top 40 under 40. Let me present to you Ms. Geeta Kandia.
Hi, thank you, Azra, for that lovely introduction.
Hi, Ms. Geeta. Thank you so much for being with us today. I'm sure that our audience would love to learn a lot from you today.
Excited to be here too and to share my expertise and knowledge.
Definitely. Okay, let me introduce our next speaker for today. Okay, our next speaker is none other than our group CEO of PanPages Trinity, Mr. Christopher Ng.
Hello, apa khabar everybody?
Hi, Mr. Christopher.
Hello, good to be back.
Good to have you. Always lovely to have Mr. Christopher on our session. And a lot of our audience already know Mr. Christopher. I don't need to elaborate his credential. Everybody knows his background.
Thank you so much, Asra.
Okay, let me introduce our last speaker of today. Last but not least, he's a managing director of MEDELLA, Bountiful Ventures India Berhad, that's the company's name. He is an award-winning serial entrepreneur who's actively involved with projects across the globe that empowers underprivileged. He has years of experience in IT, manufacturing, and agriculture. So let us welcome Mr. Edwin Ong.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having me here, and thanks for the introduction, Azra.
You're most welcome. Thanks, Mr. Edwin, for your time to join us today.
Welcome.
Okay, so that's everyone. That's all of our speakers for today. Thank you so much to all our speakers for being here with us today. So to everybody in the audience, we have an amazing list of speakers for you today with impeccable credentials. So I'm sure that you will learn a great deal from our webinar today. For everybody's benefit, we will also be taking questions from you guys. So any concerns you have or queries, especially on today's topic and discussion, please do submit them in the Q&A section below, and our speakers will try to answer as many questions as possible during the Q&A section later. Okay, so without further ado, without wasting any more time, I don't want to take any more than I should do. So I will, let's start with Mr. Adwa, if you are ready.
All right. Thank you, Azra. I'm good to go. Okay. Hello, everyone. So my name is Adwa. I'm the assistant manager of the digital trade section in MATRADE. And as for today, I'll be sharing with you guys there's 3 main points. So basically, I'll be sharing you guys about the the trade performance of Malaysia in 2020, the about MATRADE, basically what we does, how we can help Malaysian companies, and then lastly, I'll talk about my program, which is the eTrade program 2.0. Okay. Right. So very briefly on the Malaysia trade performance 2020. I'm not a stat guy, so do bear with me for this one. All right, so as we know, Malaysia is a trading company, and trade has always driven Malaysia's economy from pretty much from after Merdeka. So our trade has grown from back in the 70s from 9.45 billion ringgit until last year it was 1.784 trillion ringgit. Our trade has almost always been on an upward trend and upward momentum, so to say, except for 2001, 2009, and 2019, all because of economic crisis. So for 2020, of course, as we all know, the global economic slowdown has been caused by COVID-19 and the following movement restriction globally. So it's not just us, so almost everywhere in the world, trade goes down. Okay, so in summary, our total trade decreased by 3.3%, our exports decreased by 1.1%, and our imports decreased by 5.8%. So, but due to the, despite the decrease, we still managed to record a trade surplus, which has increased by 25.9%. Right, so in terms of what we exported out, so in terms of exports, the main sector is manufactured goods, which contributed 849.50 billion ringgit, and followed by agricultural goods at 71.72 billion ringgit, mining goods, and others, of course. The similar pie is also for what we import in as well, albeit different figures. As for our trade partners, for 2020, our main trade partner is, as you can see on the left-hand side of the slides, is the first one is China, and it's followed by Singapore, US, Japan, and Taiwan. In terms of exports specifically, our main exporting partner is China, Singapore, US, Hong Kong, and Japan, whereas we imported mainly from China, Singapore, US, Japan, and Taiwan. So you can see China, Singapore, US is very close partners to us in regards to trade. All right, so in terms of products for 2020, the 5 major products, for exports and import, basically. For export, number 1 is E&E products, electrical electronics. So this includes all the chips that are being manufactured here in Malaysia. Same goes for imports as well. And second is followed by petroleum products for exports, chemical products for import, and then palm oil, agriculture, chemical products, and rubber products for export. And then, of course, machineries, petroleum, and manufacturers for import. Okay, so these are the products mapped into the market for our trade last year. So when you put ASEAN together as a region, ASEAN is, of course, our main market with an increase of 26.3% of export in last year. As for imports, there's an increase of 37.1% of import from China. All right. Okay, so I think that's about enough statistics. Right, so I'm gonna straight away go to about MATRADE. So MATRADE, for those that do not know, we are the trade promotion agency under the Ministry of International Trade and Industry (MITI), where we have been tasked to promote Malaysian products and services overseas. So we have the vision to make Malaysia a globally competitive trading nation, and our mission is to promote Malaysian enterprises, you guys, to the world. So our main HQ is actually in KL, it's in Jalan Duta. But if for those that are not around here, we also have 5 regional offices within the countries. Within these countries, so we have one in Penang that covers the northern region. We have one in Kuala Terengganu that covers the east coast, and then we have also one in Johor. In Johor, not only they cover the southern region, they also cover Singapore. And of course, we have one in Kuching, and we also have one in Kota Kinabalu, Sabah. And on top of that, we also have 46 offices overseas. So out of these 46, 34 are trade offices where we actually send our own staff and post them there. The 12 marketing offices is basically where we hire the local local staff in the respective countries and are sent to be our MO. So if you have any inquiries or any questions that you need to ask and you need to opinion from someone on the ground, let's say for example you wanted to export to Mexico, for example, where you need to know the regulations and how does the market perceive your kind of products, you can always drop our trade commissioner in Mexico City an email and he can get back to you accordingly. Same goes for other markets as well. All right, so at MATRADE we have 4 main core functions. We have export promotion, we have exporters development, that's where I'm in. We provide trade and market information as well as providing trade and advisory services. So as most companies do and most government agencies do, our services are very physical in nature. So the pandemic did halted a lot of our services. So in response to that, we have to be agile and keep on providing these services to Malaysian companies because they need it now more than ever. So we have go into the digital space and transform most of our activities into digital. So let's say, for example, before this, we hold something called the International Sourcing Program, where we bring foreign buyers to Malaysia and connect them with Malaysian suppliers here. Or we also sometimes bring Malaysian suppliers outside to foreign countries and match them to foreign buyers over there. Obviously, travel is not allowed now. So what we do is that we hold virtual B2B meetings. We call them e-BizMatch, where our trade commissioners overseas will find these buyers that want to source from Malaysia, and then we will match them with the companies in our MATRADE membership database. So it depends on what products that they want, what sectors that they're in. So we'll match them accordingly, and we conduct the meetings virtually. And of course, we also have My Export. My Export has been around since for quite a few years already, but it's basically an online portal where we disseminate live market intelligence and market alerts, all these kind of information that are on demand and are trending in international markets. All these informations are being provided by our trade commissioners overseas. And of course, webinars. Before this, we do a lot of trainings. It's either we do it here in our HQ or we do it all around the country, basically everywhere. But of course, same thing with the virtual meetings, travel is not allowed. So we change our training mode from online seminars to webinars. So we do webinars every so often. All the webinars that are being organized by MATRADE and by our partners are mostly free. By MATRADE, it's all free. But we blast the invitation mainly to our MATRADE members in our database. So for those that are not members, but you still want to join, do visit our website from time to time because we also share the links over on our website. Okay. All right, so before I move any further, I just would like to encourage those of you that have not yet become a MATRADE member to be a MATRADE member. Registration is free. There's no subscription charges or anything like that. Everything is free. And you can register online at our MATRADE portal, www.matrade.gov.my. It's quite simple, and there's a lot of benefits to it. Some that I mentioned before, like for example, when we are choosing companies to match with foreign buyers, we look into our database first, and when we do webinars, we'll blast to our email to our members first. And another one that I think is quite important as well is that all incentives or all financial assistance provided by MATRADE requires a company to become a MATRADE member first for the company to be eligible. So those are some of the benefits of being a MATRADE member. So for those that have not yet be a member, please do so. All right, so these are some of the financial assistance that I mentioned before. So E-Trade, I'll talk a bit more in depth about E-Trade after this. So MDG or the Market Development Grant is a financial assistance to partly defray the cost of export promotion by SMEs. And the Services Export Fund is basically a fund to help service providers in Malaysia to export their services overseas. So as by requested by PanPages, I will also share very, very briefly about the Market Development Grant. So like I mentioned before, Market Development Grant is a financial assistance to partly defray the cost of export promotion by SMEs. So these are the what I call the eligible activities. So I think the most common one is people claim for participation in international trade fairs held in Malaysia and overseas, where if it's a local trade fair, you can claim up to 5K per company per trade fair, and then for overseas, max 25K per application. You can also claim for international conferences held overseas, that's 25K per application. Listing fees for Malaysia product in hypermarket, supermarket, you want to put your products on the shelf overseas, you can claim up to 20K per application. And participation in trade investment mission and export acceleration mission, EAM and TIM. So this you can claim up to 10K if it's jointly organized by us. If it's not jointly organized by us, you can claim up to 2K per application. But as you notice, most of these activities are physical in nature. So MDG has expanded its scope to cater to more digital-centric activities, as will be shown here. So these additional activities currently, it is only valid for activities undertaken from the 1st of January 2021 until the 31st December 2021. So for now, the approval is only for them to expand their scope for this year only. Okay, so I'm just going to share a bit about the 5 additional activities. The first one is cancellation or postponements of trade fair or exhibition held local or overseas. So if you face this issue, you can claim from MDG. If it's local, you can claim up to 5K. If it's overseas exhibitions, you can claim up to 20K. The reimbursement for logistic costs for sending Malaysia products overseas, this is for B2B only, is 30%, not exceeding 40K per application. There's also ANP, advertising and promotion expenses for export. This also include digital marketing actually. So there's 70K per application. Registration for IP, intellectual property for international market, 30K per application, and international certification for export, 30K for application. So I like to stress again, currently these 5 activities are only for this year. So if you are interested to claim any 5, do so as soon as possible. And for more information and for more detailed information, or if you have any inquiries on MDG, you can check out MDG's guideline available on our website, matrade.javi.my, and also you can contact them with the contact number over on our website. Okay. All right, so now I'll talk about my program, which is E-Trade Program 2.0. So E-Trade Program 2.0 is actually a continuation from our previous program called E-Trade Program. Okay, so the E-Trade Program started in 2014, where we work, I think, with PanPages. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not in MATRADE yet in 2014, but I'm quite sure it's with PanPages up until 2020. So from this period, through the E-Trade Program, we aim to help national companies to venture into cross-border e-commerce to accelerate their exports. So the feedback and the program received good feedback. Quite a lot of applicants, quite a lot of approvals. So we have been approved to continue the program and enhance it through to program 2.0. So our first objective for 2.0 is still the same. So we want to kickstart and accelerate exports of SMEs via participation in international cross-border platforms, cross-border e-commerce platforms. We also have a second objective, which is to assist Malaysian SMEs to have a valuable and sustainable presence on cross-border e-commerce through activities such as digital marketing, e-commerce training, export promotion, etc. So to achieve these two objectives, under Integrate Program 2.0, we have two schemes. So the first one is onboarding scheme, 5,000 ringgit. This one I'll tell you guys in detail a bit later. And then we have the digital marketing and trading DMT scheme worth 20,000 ringgit. For DMT scheme, it's for the purpose of undertaking any digital marketing activities and or attending e-commerce training program related to exports only. Okay, but before I go in depth to onboarding scheme, let me just share about the eligibility criteria for our program. So if you notice, there's two boxes here. So actually the yellow box is the criteria from our previous program, which we carried over to the new program. So it still remains. So the first one is that your company must be registered with SSM. So you can either be a Sdn Bhd, enterprise, LLPs, PLPs. You can even be a cooperative, cooperatives registered under SKM, Suruhanjaya Koperasi Malaysia as well. If you are a Sdn Bhd company, your ownership must at least be 60% Malaysian. And for your products, it must be Malaysian products. So if you are a manufacturing company, then you're pretty much good to go. Your product is made in Malaysia. If you are a trading company, do make sure that your supplier is supplying you with products that are made in Malaysia. As for the size of company, we are open to SMEs. So we follow SME Corp's SME definition to a T. Essentially, if you're a manufacturing company, your revenue must be less than 50 million ringgit, or you have less than 200 full-time employees. And if you're a trading company, your annual revenue must be less than 20 million ringgit, and or your full-time employees must be less than 75. The pink one on the right-hand side is a new criteria for Integrate Program 2.0. So the first off is, like I mentioned before, you must be a MATRADE member first to be eligible for this program. And on top of that, you also have to subscribe to My Export and have done the Export Readiness Assessment Test, or ERAT score. So ERAT is basically our, it's just a bunch of questionnaires for companies to fill in. And then based on your answers, you can measure where you are at in terms of exporting. So it doesn't really matter what score you get from ERAT. Regardless of the score, you can still apply for E-Trade. We're not going to hold you for that. What we do with the score is that we can have more specific and relevant trainings to companies depending on your score. Like for example, if you are a very beginner in terms of export, an advanced training session will not be beneficial for you. Same goes vice versa. If you are already a massive exporter, a basic training session will not do any good for you. So that's how we're going to use the score. And also, for Integrate 2.0, it is only open for companies with physical products, so service providers are not eligible for the program. For onboarding scheme, which I will talk about later, we have two additional criteria. The first one is that your company must be in operation for at least 6 months. So not very new companies. If you like establish your company last week, you still can apply for it. You cannot apply for Integrate Program 2.0. So at least 6 months for onboarding scheme, and you have not received the previous EDU program from 2014 until 2020. All right. So the onboarding scheme, what we give is that basically there's two items. So the first one is listing fee or subscription fee or onboarding package fee for you to join one or multiple e-commerce platform with maximum 1 year subscription. And the second one is that any activities associated to the onboarding into the e-commerce platform, such as these four, development of mini site, photography, warehousing, etc. But of course, not limited to this. But most e-commerce platform, especially like Alibaba.com, where PanPages Trinity is the channel partner of, they have a few onboarding packages, and these packages are the all-inclusive of all these items. So you don't have to pick and choose, just choose one package and then you can claim it from us 5,000 ringgit. And just a quick note, requirement for e-commerce platform is that it must be a cross-border e-commerce platform, meaning that it has element of exports. So you, as a Malaysian seller, by joining this platform, you can sell to foreign buyers. So this rules out platform like Lazada Malaysia, Shopee Malaysia, just for example. All right. So the onboarding scheme is a direct claim application, meaning you have to join the platform first and then claim back for us. So I'll go into more details on how you can apply. So the flow is something like this. So basically you register as a market member first, take a ride, and then you onboard the e-commerce platform. So when you're about to onboard, let's say you just want to make sure whether or not your company meet the criteria that I mentioned before, and you just want to check, you can also go to our portal, matrade.gov.my/en/etrade. The criteria is also available over there. So just, if you're not sure, you can check again over there. And once you're sure, you can onboard the e-commerce platform. And once you are live on that platform, you already have the invoice and receipt, you can go to our application system at our portal as well. So once you are in the system, you'll be prompted to complete some information, upload some documents. And once we have verified everything, we'll disperse the 5,000 ringgit to your bank account. Okay, so this is basically the final two steps. I'm going to just walk through you guys on how you can apply for the onboarding scheme. So assuming you have joined the e-commerce platform, so next step is to apply for onboarding scheme. You go to the eTrade portal and then you go to the eTrade system, and this will be the thing that you'll see. So you need to key in your company registration number and then your MATRADE registration number. You'll get MATRADE registration number once you have completed registering as a MATRADE member. Okay, the first thing you'll see is a disclaimer page. Do read it out. And then once you have done reading this, you can click on new application. So once you click new application, you will be prompted to this. So you can choose onboarding scheme, digital marketing scheme. The basic requirements are there. And if you have applied for each program before, you will not see the apply button on the onboarding scheme. All right. So once you click apply, and then the first one is company profile. So this information will be extracted from our database, our MATRADE membership database. So whatever you key in over there will be the same here. It's just that some companies, they have been MATRADE members for quite a long time, and there's information that needs to be updated. So if you, once you're here, let's say for example, you see that your information are not up to date, you can always call our direct line or email info@matrade.gov.my to update your information. So once you've checked this, it's all good, it's all up to date, you can go to the next step, which is activity. Okay, so here you can key in e-commerce platform that you join. If it's Alibaba, put Alibaba. If it's Amazon, put Amazon. Onboarding date is the day that you join them. So for example, you join them on the 1st of June, and then the subscription package is for 1 year, and then your end date will be the 31st of May next year. Okay, and the duration will be auto-calculated. And if you use a agent channel partner, let's say for example, join Alibaba through Trinity, just put PanPages Trinity over there. A breakdown of expenses is basically if you are paying for a single onboarding package, just key in on the onboarding fee. Let's say for example, the whole package is 8,000 ringgit, just key in 8,000 ringgit over there. All right, so for this one, I got a lot of questions for this one. So basically, this is what you get. What have you gotten from the platform for the period that you joined them up until the time where you made the claim? For example, you join Alibaba.com through Trinity on the 1st of June 2021, and you make the claim today. So the export sales is from the 1st June until today. How much have you exported? If it's 0, you can just put 0. There's no problem there. And for the year, you can put the year that you joined. Number of inquiries, how many inquiries you have received from the day that you joined them, the 1st June, up until today. Okay. All right, so The next one is payment details. So this is basically where you key in your bank accounts, bank account details. So make sure this one is correct because the money will be dispersed here. So if it's not correct, there will be some problems in the future. All right, so and then the next one is attachment. So this is where you upload the documents that we need to verify your application. So the type of documents will differ based on what type of company you are. So the sample that I use here is for an enterprise company. If you are a student umbrella company, you will be seeing some different rows. Basically, for student umbrella, you also need to upload audited financial report, section 57, if I'm not mistaken, and a few other forms that the enterprise doesn't have. Okay, so just quick note here. All documents that you want to upload must be in PDF. So that one is not only just for E-Trade, also for MDG as well. So all documents must be in PDF. The size for each document must be at least 5 MB maximum. So let's say, for example, you have a huge file. So you need to segregate into smaller files of 5 MB each. You can upload many files into one box, but one file must be at most 5 MB only. And since I'm here, so if you have any, let's say you have completed your application, okay, and then you receive an incomplete email from MATRADE saying that you need to submit your latest EPF statement. So in this particular case, let's say, for example, the EPF statement, instead of now it's August. So let's say you should submit your July EPF statement, but instead you mistakenly submitted the EPF statement in July 2020. So it's not the latest EPF statement. So you receive an incomplete email. And what you should do when you receive the email is that you go back into the system. And then I'm just going to go through back very quickly here. All right, go back into the system, you go back here, but instead of going to new application, you go back to my application. So once you click my application, it'll show you onboarding scheme in process. So you click on the onboarding scheme in my application and you will be straight away taken to here again. But the difference being is that you'll notice that you cannot touch anything else except the documents that you are missing. So in my example case is EPF statement. So you can see only the upload file button will only be a EPF statement, and the others you cannot touch. So it will depend on what documents you're missing, and you only need to go back to the system and upload them again. Okay, so this one is for the invoice and receipt where you can upload them. Okay, so we do require you guys to provide some feedback to us. So basically, we will be doing an annual online survey to measure the effectiveness of this incentive. And with the data that we get from this feedback, we can provide recommendation to the central agencies for future betterment of the program that will end up benefiting you guys, the SMEs as well in the future. So usually we don't require much. The required information usually is actual export sales in Ringgit Malaysia for the that you receive from the platform that you joined, the name of countries that you penetrated, products that you exported, and whether or not you continue to resubscribe or release on that particular e-commerce platform. But don't worry, all information provided will be kept strictly confidential. Should we need to present our findings, we'll present it in an aggregated manner, so there will be no single company line item. Okay, so these are the documents that you'll need to upload. I'm not going to go straight through all of them, but you'll see them on our portal as well as when you're about to upload documents. All right, these are some of the success stories. Companies that have never exported before through the E-Trade program, they join, I think this one is Alibaba.com. So they join Alibaba and then they managed to get their first export order from Japan. And then now they've grown to become a seasoned exporter already. Some companies also, they are exporting, but they only export to our neighboring countries, Singapore, Brunei, Indonesia. But through e-commerce platform, they managed to go into market that they have never, some of them never knew about the country. Like, okay, so you can see in the markets penetrated. So the kind of markets that the companies manage to sell to, of course, traditional markets are available like the US, China, Japan, etc. But also new markets. Company got sales from these countries like Bhutan, Armenia, Panama, Papua New Guinea, and Mauritius, even through e-commerce platforms. And of course, the 5 main product categories are the usual suspects, I would say: F&B, pharmaceutical, toiletries and cosmetics, furniture, building materials, and apparels and fashion. All right, so this is my team right now. My boss, Encik Nazaruddin, you can email him there if you need to. There's myself, Adwa, my two colleagues, Husni and Naim. Mr. Husni is in charge of the DMT scheme. So if you have any inquiries on that, you can email Mr. Husni. Mr. Naim is in charge of the onboarding scheme. So if you have any questions on onboarding scheme, you can drop Mr. Naim an email. We are available at level 15 East Wing of MATRADE. Should, when everything calms down and we are able to move around again, you want to come visit us, you can do so here. Sorry. Right, that's it from me. Do follow MATRADE on social media, and then I'll see you on the Q&A session. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Adwa, for the sharing on MATRADE Grant with our audience today. Okay, next, I would like to invite Ms. Gita. She's going to be sharing with everybody here on, how to protect and maximize your intellectual property in the international market.
Thank you so much, Azra, for the introduction. Thank you, Mr. Adwa, for that very enlightening presentation on how to apply with all the nitty-gritty details. Thanks to MATRADE, actually, for the grants available. Welcome, everyone, to my session, Conquering the World with Your Intellectual Property Rights. And yes, get government help for it. As you've heard from Mr. Adwa, the Enhanced Market Development Grant is only for this year. We have asked MATRADE whether will it continue, because intellectual property is challenging when you're going abroad. And they said that they might, but there's no confirmation. So because there's no confirmation, we kind of have a deadline of just this year. A bit about the firm before I continue. KASS has been around for 22 years. We have about 50 plus people now, and we're in 6 countries. And we specialize in IP, everything to do with intellectual property. Basically, property that you create with your mind. And that is trademarks, patents for your technology, designs for your uniquely designed packaging or bottles or whatever that you've created, and copyright for artistic and literary work. That's about IP. Now, very quickly, before talking about intellectual property, and all right, you're going abroad and you're using MATRADE's funds or government funds, how do you then, what strategy do you then use? Before I get into that, let me talk about a bit on what Mr. Adwa talked about, going global. He ended it with an amazing example, that example of one brand trying it out, right? And that's what all these funds do. It allows you to try your product response overseas. And why is it so important to go overseas? Yeah, this was a quiz actually. What's common? What is common among all of these brands? When you look at McDonald's, Starbucks, Google, Adidas, they're all big brands. Then you look at Papa Roti, you look at Brahim, those are local brands. So what do you think are common? Like, if you can put in the chat box very quickly, what do you think is common among these brands? So there are like 100 plus people here. So try to make it interactive. So if you can say what is common in the chat box, you will see that all of them started locally. All of these, yeah, it's also exciting that they're also global, even Alibaba, right? But they all started locally first, Pepsi, Facebook, and then they went global. Then they developed the brand and they took their brands global. Thanks to government now helping, going global is made a lot easier in your budget. ASEAN is extremely important, and as Mr. Adwa showed in his statistics, 69.5% of exports from Malaysia look into ASEAN. There's various reasons for this, because it's easy to penetrate the market. We understand the language, the culture, it's nearby, logistics cost is more affordable, right? So if you're testing your market, you're looking at ASEAN. But let me share with you why ASEAN is actually a very important market. It is the 3rd largest economy in Asia. It is the 7th largest economy in the world. look at their GDP size in total in 2020, 3.11 trillion, and look at their population, 673 million people. So it is a very important market, and that is again why companies that are exporting are looking at ASEAN market. I'll share with you again some statistics. E-commerce, the place to be. There's this very interesting report by Google, Temasek, and Bain and Company. The research was extremely interesting, and you can see, look at the companies behind this report. They have a wealth of resources. They leverage on Bain's analysis, Google Trends, Temasek research and industry resources to look at the internet economy in Southeast Asia. Look at the number of people, mobile internet users in Southeast Asia, right? There are out of 360 million internet users in the world, 90% of them connect to the internet primarily to the mobile phones. And in Southeast Asia, these are the statistics on this slide, right? You can see how many people trade online onto the phone. Southeast Asia's internet economy has hit 100 billion. Interestingly, this report was generated before the pandemic. Right, what does that mean? That means all these data here has just scaled up big time because everyone went online. Companies that were doing brick and mortar business then figured it out, I need to be online. So this data is even old data, even though it was done right before the pandemic in 2019. In Asia, in Southeast Asia, there's fast and faster growth of internet, especially in Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, and Philippines. They are growing between 20 to 30%. And the two pace setters are Indonesia and Vietnam. So if you're not already in Indonesia and Vietnam selling your products, then you have to be there, right? Markets that you need to be looking at. Okay, so these are other interesting data revealed by the report. But due to interest of time, I better not spend too much of time in this report. It's a very good report. I've read it in depth. And if you want the report, please email me at dita@kass.asia or later on give us your details. We'll send you this report. Right. So now you've heard, right, how important getting online is, how important Southeast Asia is. Right? Not just my data here. You've heard Mr. Adwa's statistics on his export market, right? ASEAN, then you're looking at China and US. But with power comes great, you know this quote, right, from that famous movie, with power comes great, actually, copycats. That's the thing about branding. That's the thing about advertising. With popularity, you get more sales, you get more revenue, your company grows, and it's all good. But when something is doing really well, that's when you get copycats. And you know, I've been in the IP field for the past 17 years. The pandemic has created the most copycats. Why? Because everything is online. Number two, it's because when times are tough, I don't have time to go out there and build a reputation. I don't have time to create goodwill. I don't have time and I need the money. So what do? I copy those who are successful because they have already got the market share. What we've been finding is that there's so many disputes. We're constantly tackling a dispute in KASS about trademark disputes, copyright disputes. Someone is ripping off someone and it's online. So that's what has been happening a lot. So what is really important, and that's also why MATRADE has seen it as an important element. When you take your brand abroad, when you take your product abroad, when you take your service abroad, it is important to look at intellectual property rights. And that's where today's presentation is about. It's about intellectual property rights and how do you go about protecting it abroad. Now MATRADE is giving a grant, but what is the strategy? Can't simply just file random countries or randomly. So I was saying, right, with power comes great copycats. This is some data that was revealed right after the pandemic hit, right? There's a lot of counterfeit products. This was a counterfeit face mask. Even in Malaysia, there's counterfeit face mask cases going on where trademarks were copied and so were the packaging. Then a lot of searches done online often lead customers to counterfeit. You see this article on the left part, it says up to 60% of online search results brings customers to websites that sell fake goods. When searching for antibiotic bag trim on Google, 6 in 10 of 10 page results to users at sites are very likely operating unlawfully. You speak to many women, they'll be very, very cautious about buying cosmetic products online. They'll be cautious about buying perfumes online. and anything you consume online, the cautiousness or the concern is because we're applying it on our skin. We're consuming it into your body. That's where it's very, very dangerous. Electrical products are also dangerous because it's electrical and it can suddenly blow up in your hand and injure you. So this is where it's very dangerous, and your brand gets tarnished as well. So counterfeit goods undermine the reputation of brand owners. There's no quality control of product safety and no testing on these counterfeit goods. The other thing about copycats, right, what we find, and one of the problems that also frequently comes up, sometimes it's not even a random business owner that's trying to copy your product. The worst part, right, is that it's your distributor. It's a common person in your supply chain. It's part of your business circle that tries to register that trademark in that foreign country. That's the worst. You know what they say, right? That very common phrase, keeps your friends close and keep your enemies closer. We think your competitor is your enemy or others is the enemy. Sometimes their friends backstab you. So some of the many disputes that we face in Indonesia, in Thailand and Vietnam, franchisees registering brands that don't belong to them, distributors registering brands that do not belong to them. Then what do? Fighting it in court is way more expensive than registering the trademark itself, right? In comparison, for example, in Malaysia, registering a trademark, maximum you would pay is about 2,800 to 3,000 ringgit, right? It really ranges from around 2,000 to 3,000 ringgit. That's the cost of registering a trademark for 10 years, yeah? If you were to fight to get your trademark back from someone else who has registered it wrongfully in bad faith, you're looking at 80,000 ringgit litigation cost in Malaysian IP courts or high courts, or 80,000 minimum, right? It goes up to 120,000 ringgit. So you can see that the cost of registering the brand, protect your brand, is much lower than fighting it out in court to get it back. I always say, right, intellectual property is like insurance. It is something that you need, the protection that you need, and you only know you need it after you've been burnt, right? And that's the thing about insurance. When you don't get an insurance and there's an injury that suddenly lands you in a hospital and you have to pay 100,000 ringgit for that surgery, and you don't have insurance, that's the time you literally go smack on your head. I should have got insurance. But it's too late. Same thing we have in trademarks and patent and design disputes, IP disputes. It's too late when it lands in court and then you go, I should have done it before. That's exactly what intellectual property is. Thankfully, even despite the pandemic, the government is giving funds. So this is great that the funds, as Mr. Adwa has said, the various funds, in fact, the one I will be presenting on is the one that's specifically on intellectual property. The latest market development grant, the enhanced version, touches on these 5 things: the registration of intellectual property rights, advertising and promotion expenses for exports, trade fair and exhibition that has been cancelled, reimbursement on logistics costs, and international certification for exports. In fact, number 4 is really interesting for those of you looking at exporting for the first time. Take advantage of number 4 as well, because you get to get some of your logistics costs reimbursed. So it reduces your cost of getting your product abroad. This is the money, the grant amount, 30,000 for IP, 70,000 for A&P, and so on. Mr. Adwa has already gone through this, so I won't go into it. And remember the deadline, yeah? There is a deadline. The grant is until any activity that's going on from this year until the end of this year. So you're looking at only 4 months, actually, 4 months left. And the deadline is 30 calendar days from the date activity is taken, right? Depending on which part of the 5 grants that you're applying for. So now, what is the strategy? I come from the intellectual property perspective. What is the strategy to protect your brands globally? First thing to know, some countries are first to file principle compared to first to use principle. What does that even mean? Well, it means that the company that files the trademark first in the country that recognizes first to file principle owns the brand first. That means they have better rights than any company that uses the brand first. Now that's highly unfair, because if you have been using your brand in Indonesia for 10 years, but you do not register your brand and someone goes and files a trademark, how is it that they have rights? Unfortunately, in these countries, for example, in China, in Vietnam, in Indonesia, these countries have the principle of first to file on the rationale that if it was important to you, you should have filed your trademark first. And it is easier to prove ownership because it's on the register of trademarks at their intellectual property office. So it's very easy to prove ownership if the principle is first to file. But countries where they follow the Commonwealth law, they follow the UK law, they have the principle of first to use first. First to use have rights prior to first to file. Thankfully, Malaysia is one of them. In the ASEAN countries, I think Malaysia, Singapore, most others are actually first to file. Malaysia, Singapore, Australia is also first to use because we are Commonwealth countries. That means if we use the brand first, you have better rights than the person who files the brand after you've used the brand. But in court, you then have to adduce that you used it first, you build goodwill and reputation, and that's why you have the rights compared to the party that files their trademark first, right? So in court, you have to adduce more evidence to prove that you used it first. If you have a certificate of registration, it is akin to you having a birth certificate. It is showing in court that, look, this is my name, I was born to these parents and I belong to them. Exactly like that. It's just that it's for your brand. So you adduce your certificate in court and say that this is my brand. The other party is misusing my brand, even though I have not given them the rights to, and I have the rights because I have the certificate. Certificate of trademark gives you rights to use the brand for 10 years and gives you the right to stop others from using your brand for the same category of goods and services. So basically, any copycat cannot trespass your rights. It's easier in court to prove the case that the other party has no rights. So with a certificate of registration, the challenge in court to win your case is easier. Even when you send a legal letter to the other party, any copycats, whether it's in Malaysia or abroad, they tend to listen to the legal letter because you're sharing with them your certificate. I have rights, as opposed to attacking them, saying, stop using my brand, but you don't have evidence to show it is your brand. So this is very important, right? First to file versus first to use when you're looking at strategies to go abroad. The other thing very important, and we realized this too, because during the pandemic, every business owner went online. Even if you're selling a service, you go online. We realized that on the e-commerce platform, Alibaba, Lazada, Shopee, if there is a copycat online, you cannot get these e-commerce platforms to take them off the e-commerce platform if you do not have a certificate of registration of your brand. So when you file a complaint and say that this brand is being copied, please take off this brand because they are counterfeit products. Alibaba and Shopee and Lazada have a legal team who then say, show me the evidence that you own the brand, or you own the packaging, you own the copyright, or you own the patent. They ask for the evidence. That's the other challenge as well. So then everyone's scrambling to register the trademark or register the patent and so on. So when you go abroad, the other thing is ensure that you're complying to laws of foreign countries, of course, but also ensure that you're not infringing other parties' rights. So not just about you protecting your brand, make sure that you're not copying or trespassing other people's rights. So that's the other risk. Then you get a legal letter asking you to change your brand or stop using the brand, or else they will take you to the court in their jurisdiction. That has happened as well. So it is exciting. Hey, let's explore other markets. Let's venture out. But the last thing you want after doing all that effort in preparing your packaging, getting all your export licenses, finding the right distributor, sending it abroad, that is a lot of effort, time, and money. And then you get a legal letter saying, hey, stop selling or I will sue you. So that is very dangerous. And that's the second one here, ensuring that you're not infringing other people's rights in other countries. And you can do that by doing a search. Ensure you do a trademark search before you start venturing abroad. So on the route about what strategy do you have if you yourself are looking to go abroad? There are 3 routes. One is the national route, one is the regional route, and one is the international route. The international route is called the Madrid Protocol. Some of you have already experienced this and might already be using this system. This system is very new because in 2019, we were the 9th country in ASEAN to accede to the Madrid Protocol. The only other country remaining is Myanmar. But Malaysia likes to take its time, so we took some time to get to this. And this Madrid Protocol is very important to local businesses. And I'll explain why, okay? It is very important because it's a centralized filing system, a system that allows local business owners to file abroad in many countries in an easier manner, in a cheaper manner, in a cost-effective manner, right? So that's very important when you're going abroad. And so us acceding in 2019 is very good to local businesses. And let me explain a bit about the system. This is the system, centralized filing system. It is basically, you file your trademark in Malaysia, your home country. That's the first part, file local application. Then we file an international application, again with the local office, which is the Malaysian IP office. So we file a Malaysian-based application, then you file an international application. And that international application is then sent to the World Intellectual Property Office in Geneva. And they then disseminate that application to foreign countries like Thailand, in Vietnam, Philippines, and so on. So they disseminate the information abroad, and they then do the examination in those respective countries. There are advantages and disadvantages of this process. Advantages is that it's simple, it's cost effective, there is a one-stop procedure of management of portfolio, and designation of more countries can be done easier, right? So it's simple and easy because you're not going directly to each country. Then you actually go, regional route is filing in many countries. For example, EU has a regional route. So that's a regional application, but in Madrid Protocol, you go through the World Intellectual Property Office and then you go directly. So the standardized filing dates and renewal dates, one language, one maintenance system, and saves a lot of time and cost. So when you file an application in many countries, sometimes you sell the company or you change your company name. These types of applications in managing the portfolio is done easier in this one-stop central system because you file the application once and they will in the World IP office and they will make the changes in the individual IP offices. So renewal as well. When you renew the brands every 10 years, it's done once. So it's a one-stop system for portfolio maintenance. This system was actually very much encouraged by big brand owners like Nike, Adidas, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, when they have many trademarks in many countries. Portfolio maintenance becomes very difficult. That's how Madrid Protocol was introduced many years ago. Okay, I've explained it's cost effective. Comparison, of course, if you do individual applications, if there's many countries, then it gets expensive and it should be done through the Madrid Protocol. If it's one or two countries and it's ASEAN countries, the costing might be cheaper for you to go direct. So it's very important, this part, to not immediately assume Madrid Protocol is your answer for going abroad. It can be costly because there is a world intellectual property fees to be paid, which is not in our currency. So when you're filing, in, for example, on the left, the countries given is US, EU, Australia, because the currency is their foreign currency. It can be quite expensive. So that's, again, when you decide which one to use, do I use the direct route or the regional route or the international route? Important to get very good advice to see which is the best route. And the other one is fixed examination timeline. If any country enters into the Madrid Protocol, they must already agree to examine your trademark application within 18 months. And that fixed application examination timeline speeds up your application process because before these countries didn't have a timeline. No one was exerting pressure on them. So this speeds up the trademark process after you file it. I'm going to move that subsequent designation. So if you want to add on countries at a later date, that's also possible through the system. Now let's look at disadvantages. There are some disadvantages. The trademark can have a central attack. You know how I explained earlier that it was introduced by the Nikes and the Adidas and the Coca-Colas, because when you're managing an international portfolio, having a very good way of managing it is advantageous. But the disadvantage is copycats can also use this system to venture into many countries, right? Anything that's good for the brand owner is also going to be very good for the copycat. So then they had mechanisms put in place to avoid that. They have a central attack mechanism. And what that is that if your base application is attacked, then the entire international application and every subsequent designation collapses. So when that collapses, your entire Madrid Protocol course is wasted. And the central attack is there because a lot of these big brands will do a watching service to see whether do you have copycats to McDonald's, copycats to Coca-Cola, and so on. When there is, they will attack the base application to make sure that this company cannot then use the Madrid Protocol system to file copycat brands abroad. But a central attack is also a risk to you then, because if your base application fails, then what then happens with all the costs of going abroad? So there are ways to overcome this. I haven't included slides, and I will not be presenting on strategies to overcome each of this disadvantage, because there's definitely ways to overcome the disadvantage. During the filing time, you will be advised, like basic applications are must, and how do you craft your basic application, how do you secure registration, how do you avoid attacks, and so on. And the other disadvantage is that not all countries are Madrid Protocol countries. So those are the a bit on Madrid Protocol. There's three types of foreign execution strategy. You have direct application, you have regional application, and you have the international application. So that's strategies, and that brings to the end of my discussion today. So before going global, remember 3 things. Be aware of your IP rights. Take all the necessary actions before you officially file your trademarks overseas, and choose the best filing option based on your business expansion plan. And of course, take advantage of the market development grant, which has a deadline of end of this year. So that's it. On to you, Azra. Thanks for the time.
All right. Thanks so much, Ms. Gita. All right, that's Ms. Gita educating all of us on the importance of intellectual property, right? Okay, before we move on to our third speaker session, we have been going live about 1 hour now. So I think let's take a break for 2 minutes and then we'll come back.
I think KASS is one of those companies who's constantly updating themselves.
A group of very professional working people, problem-solving, focused.
It was like asking a friend what I should do with regards to my IP.
The most pleasing part would be that the service does not end when the invoices are paid. KASS was always there to help, and that pleased me.
Okay. Okay, was that 2 minutes? All right. Okay, we're gonna continue our webinar. All right, our next speaker, we are inviting Mr. Christopher Ang.
Hello, hi. Okay, guys. Glad to be able to share some insights, and hopefully, some of you who are aspiring exporters, some of you are already exporting, or some of you are just exploring to export. I think this is a very good platform for you to ask your questions and to be able to get some insights from, I think, all of these speakers. Like just now, I think I can definitely share my experience when PanPages Trinity were going abroad out of Malaysia. One of the challenges that we faced was copycats, and it doesn't only happen externally, it can be also by an employee or ex-employee. So these are the things that you probably want to look at as well. Basically, we were the yellow pages back in 15, 20 years ago. And when the internet came into play, we needed to pivot because the time yellow pages, the medium was the print, right? Magazines, we printed directories and all. We were the Google back then. When people needed to source for products and services, they went into yellow pages, white pages, and all this, right? Then internet came into play. We were blessed to be able to partner Alibaba. We were one of the few out of China partners for Alibaba. And in Malaysia, we're the pioneer partner, the first in Malaysia. That was about probably 12 years ago. And ever since then, we have continued our passion to help buyers to be connected to sellers and sellers to be connected to buyers through various platforms and continue this to help SMEs to global trade. And not only that, we also have a division called Trinity 42, which is to help our clients who do content marketing, brand strategy, social media targeting, and we're also Google Premier partner, Facebook partner to be able to use whatever tools available online to help our sellers to connect to their buyers and buyers to connect to the sellers. And today, I'd like to share a little bit more, go detail a little bit on the exporting part. We have a division called Global Trade, where we have been working with multiple parties like MATRADE, whereby we have the same KPIs, basically. Like MATRADE is encouraging Malaysian SMEs to go cross-border, go out of Malaysia to do business. Alibaba has this slogan called to make businesses do business everywhere, right? So all this is aligned with our global trade division as well. So there's many elements in terms of this ecosphere of global trade, not just digital marketing, e-commerce. There's so many aspects that you have to look at as well. Hence, we have to partner with multiple different sort of players to complete that ecosystem. And when it comes to overseas business opportunity, of course, Alibaba is one of the great platforms that we use, but not confined to that. There's also the Google part of ecosystem. There's the social media available. But different countries have different preference of social media. Like Malaysians, a lot by number is Facebook. We're like the top 5 in global in terms of usage of Facebook. And there's so many other platforms. Like let's say in Vietnam, there's Copycats, which is another search engine. So there's very different sort of social media platforms that is used depending on the country that our clients are targeting. We have web e-commerce, the likes of Lazada and Shopee and so many, right? And business matching opportunities as well. We have branches all over Southeast Asia. We have a branch in Ho Chi Minh City. We have one in Bangkok, Thailand. We have one in Phnom Penh, Cambodia, and multiple branches in Malaysia and different states. And that's where we also help our clients to do business matching with our other clients in other countries. But having said that, we noticed for the past decade, through our experience partnering with Alibaba and working with so many SMEs, pre-export consultancy is one of the main things that we are rolling out, and we've been rolling out for quite some time, whereby we work with MATRADE, they have grants and all, but not confined to just grants. That we have this called playbook to help aspiring exporters to understand the gameplay, what is the strategy behind, what are the best practice when you export, what you need to focus on. Like, have you covered the currency exchange, have you logistics and the IP, all this is important as well. So we also work with like SealNet, Transcargo for logistics, for internal software integration to track all your products that you export, IP, which is like KASS International, to be able to protect what is yours when you go into foreign soil. Financial institutions like Alliance Bank and CCB, which is China Construction Bank, we also work with them to be able to roll out financing options to clients, or some insurance to protect, trade insurance, and not to protect your business when you go abroad. Of course, not just that, we also have like the human development programs like HR and training, like Export Academy or Alibaba Supplier Training. We do a lot of evangelizing to help Malaysian SMEs to better their best when they want to go into export. Of course, ultimately it's about the funnel. So we need to be able to know, like, your brand or your products, right? How you judge based on the funnel. Of course, imagine if you go into a new market, or if already you are in the market. So you want to know how many people or how many potential audience that you have in the awareness stage. Means people who hasn't heard of your brand or has heard of your brand but not interested yet. So that's the awareness. So you have to drive them down towards the funnel. Not all who are aware of your brand will consider you. So move them to consideration stage, which is intend to make a contact but hasn't made the move yet. So they're in the consideration stage, on the fence. Then after that, half of them or less than half of them will probably go into the purchase stage, has decided to make a contact or ready to purchase. But it doesn't end there. That's what we call the top funnel. Then you also want to look at those clients that you already do business with. How can you retain them? How can you become this client that they continuously be your client for the longer run? And when you accumulate this, right, imagine the more people are aware of you, the more they consider, the more they purchase, then it comes into the retention stage. So there's many programs to be rolling out to be able to grow that part of the cake as well. Then you have the loyalty program to grow your long-term customers to the expansion stage, which is they can become your channels of marketing. They can become great testimony. They can bring more clients to you. They can be your fans. So that is what we call, in a nutshell, the hourglass digital funnel, which like firms like us will help you look into each stage and how you plan out the funnel for you guys. But most important, is there a market? Yes, definitely, right? So you can see there's more than 10 trillion opportunities for the B2B e-commerce segment. And B2C, of course, is lesser, but there's still a large amount. And you can see the forecast, right? The COVID situation has actually catapulted or really bounced it up this kind of opportunities for the global e-commerce. The forecast you can see from 2019, then compared to 2020, which is a 10 to 12% growth. And then you see another growth, another round in 2021, and it's not even ended yet. So we do see and foresee a continuous impact of the global e-commerce sector and a rise of revenue. And if you zoom into it, like more detail, you can see averagely it's about 10%, right? The growth of throughout the years, and the forecast as well that we are looking into. All these stats are based on multiple channels like the Alibaba, the Google, and also we consolidate all this data. You can see like fashion, electronic and media, toys, hobby, DIY related. These are very big categories of we call verticals, like furniture, appliances, food and personal care. These are the main drivers, like the top 5 overall. And if you see in terms of logistics, like Asia is actually expected to recover faster compared to the other countries. So there is also Asia, there's Africa, Latin America, NAFTA related, and Europe. So you see there's a spike down when everybody was, got impact the first round in COVID, and then they started to realize that there was a gap, and then they tried to reconstruct all this support. And we do see that it's going to be much better continuously on year. And most important is you have to also understand what are the buyer's point of view. So even there's the opportunity through the stats, they understand the digital marketing funnel, that there are platforms out there, and also like MATRADE supporting not just some grants, but the knowledge and when you really do business exporting, you will need the government support for knowledge and skill sets, right? And for networking purposes. But mainly you have to understand why the buyers buy. And the top 3 KPI that we've throughout the 10 years of doing this, we summarize it to these main 3. First, the buyers want to save costs. Second, they want to increase efficiency of the buying process. Third, they want internal client satisfaction. Means they want to make sure that it is their clients are satisfied, that they are satisfied. This is the main ask. Why? Through this stats that we look at, 67% of B2B clients prefer accessing product online. Okay, so they want things fast. They want things detailed online. Then they also prefer, almost half of them prefer very customized pricing, so that they want the interaction. They want not just going to a bot and robot to answer their questions, but they want to be able to have a personal touch and have a personal experience. And of course, order or errors throughout this cross-border experience also will also decrease the efficiency and profitability and productivity, which is one thing that they put a lot of requirement on. So if we were to look into all these areas, ultimately it's about ease and speed. Whether you are there when they are inquiring, whether you can support them, and whether it's easy for them, right? So these are the few expectations that we have to meet. And let's look into the evolution of the export business. So traditionally, there's many methods, right? You can set up an office overseas. So usually larger brands have that capabilities. You work with agent or independent representative, or you work with resellers, you work with dealers, you work with value-added resellers, you work with retailers, stockists, or you find a distributor. Okay, appoint them exclusive the distributor or several distributors. Or you go direct, the clients or customers. You can attend internal trade show. Back then, exhibition was like a huge thing, right? You go for trade shows and then you exhibit your products. You get inquiries and you sell to them, and you start the new channel like that to the country. And trade missions as well, where you like MATRADE, they organize a lot of trade missions. They bring business people towards different countries, meet with the Malaysian Business Council in that particular country, or meet with the MATRADE personnel there who is based there for many years, so that you can be connected. So this is what we call trade missions. That was pre-COVID time. And now we have many other options as well. Digital methods, right? You have your own international website where you can target multiple countries, or you dedicate hyper-local, we call localized websites to target localized content, localized language to improve efficiency or inquiry. You can run paid advertising throughout different social media or search engines or different digital marketing methods. Or you can put it into like platforms like marketplace, like the Alibabas and so forth, right? And you can also do virtual trade shows, which is quite popular for some time. These are the newer methods. However, there's pros and cons, right? If you own your international website in English, of course, you can control, you can try to boost it towards certain countries that you feel there is a potential there. Then you can present, some of our clients, they present all their old products that cannot be sold locally. They present and try to new markets, and it might work because there's different culture in different countries, there's different needs in different countries, different maturity economically, right? So, and many of our clients started off like that, even without any office setup. Of course, the cons is you have to maintain the site. You can only target like English-speaking territories, right? Like Philippines, Singapore, right? Then probably the other part will be own dedicated website with localized language, localized content. Imagine if you target Thailand. English site works for the English-speaking crowd, but it's not all. If you want to target Thailand and you're dedicated to target Thailand, probably a localized Thai language site or Thai e-commerce site to be built for you to target that part. So of course, the cons would be is, you have to manage multiple sites, multiple language. You will need like translators or mother tongue speakers and all. We have helped clients like hire local expats or local interns or people who are studying in Malaysia, employ them to respond inquiries overseas as well. So things like that. But the pros of course is if you can go hyper localized, you can go very localized, conversion usually will go up. It's much better. And entering multiple markets, is putting your eggs into multiple baskets. So there's more opportunities to explore. Of course, many of our clients try to use the last one, which is using like the platforms Alibaba, which is they already cover many countries and all. So from there, you can leverage on the platform, learn the category, learn how it works, your competition and all, which country works, where are the inquiries first. Then only go into your own website or your own dedicated local website. So these are the few ways that is important to look into. Everything got pros and cons, right? Of course, the mixture of all will be the best if you have the kind of budget and resources and time. So you have to look into the market, who you are first. Like, are you an export explorer, right? I see the 3 stars there, right? Export explorer. You could be small size, medium size, right? But it's about whether you have the affinity that you may want to try to export. So if you are exploring, then the platforms like MATRADE and all this is very suitable for you. If you're aware but you do not feel you're gonna export anytime soon, but gathering this kind of knowledge or putting your brand out there in the market through let's say an e-commerce site like Alibaba or other marketplace, right, will let you test the market out as well. Or if you are the experienced exporter, you're already doing very well in certain countries, you want to explore new markets, so the data will help you by putting yourself out in the market through social media, through the e-commerce platform, B2B e-commerce marketplace, your own website and all, gathering all this, but you have to have the data engine ready so that you can collect and see which country works, what type of inquiries they are looking for. Then you get to understand. Of course, if you are export at previous, then this might not be something that you want to look at. So where you stand. So let me zoom into being an experienced exporter. So one example of one of our clients who's been with us for quite some years, 2S packaging. So they use this what we call omni-channel digital marketing methodology. So of course they have their own website, the English own website, right, which they run ads to target multiple countries. They are like a one-stop packaging solution company. They have adhesives, they have packing tapes, packaging material or equipment for any industry. And not just the website, they also put into Alibaba 10 years ago until now. And they pair it with Alibaba e-commerce site. So one is to test out the market, to get the inquiries for 200 over countries. The other is to strengthen the value proposition and to show strength. Because in Alibaba, there's also many other players there. There's many other countries as well. So, and the majority of them will come from China. And, the Chinese is always known to be faster, stronger, smartest, cheaper, whatever, right? So, so there is also a need in the other parts of the world to show credibility. So Malaysian actually is in the brand perspective has that kind of credibility to do business with, compared to other countries. They may be cheaper, but they might not have the kind of credibility. But the 2S packaging doesn't stop there. We also covered like digital ads, social media to strengthen their pages. So imagine a buyer or a purchaser searching for products from Europe, example. So you go to Alibaba, they found. But then there's so many other options as well, so many other competitors from different countries. If you just go by value or price, it's not what they're looking for. There's so many other criteria to purchase, right? So then they do more research and pop up social media, pop up your ads, pop up your website and all. Then that shows credibility, that shows a different value proposition and strength. Hence, in the funnel, you get to cover more types of people. And how do we determine like where to put into what channel to use and how to do it? So you have to understand the buying journey. So let's say example from that whole funnel, awareness, consideration, and purchase stage. Whether have you covered that or not? Imagine a person come to Google, search packaging, and then saw a website. Then they also browse through a packaging supplier because they search packaging. Highly likely Alibaba category will come up. Then you search and look at the supplier products and mini sites. But then there's also other competitors. Then you go and do more research in Google or Facebook or other platforms. And you land into the website and you understand the profile, you see how they do business. So you're in the consideration stage already, right? Then you visit Alibaba to drop probably an inquiry and see whether they respond well, whether the price is okay in your range, whether they have that kind of product, whether they can send to you and things like that, right? Then you do a more detailed buyer research because you also want to get a few quotations. Then you compare the price. You research about the transaction, you go deeper, like, they kind of confirm, you get a brief, like what is the payment method and, how you're going to get it done. You send an inquiry, you make a purchase, done. So that is one of the methods. So you have to look into that whole funnel, like where and how people are reacting. And different countries, different people might have different behavior. So those are what we call data, looking at those kind of data. For aspiring exporters, probably they don't have so many channels, but this is a very good case study. This company called Gallery Gift House. Only 1 year membership in Alibaba. They don't have so many other option channels. They focus to try and see whether putting in Alibaba, which is there are so many countries and so many buyers is actively using the channel, to see whether it works or not, right? Just to test out the market and which country works, which country don't work. So it's test it out. So from there, they optimize it. They put more content. They put a lot of products. They put a huge amount of SKUs inside, different sort of gradings and different sort of products and services. Then after that, you see and understand the whole journey. From then, they put a higher, a more elaborated strategy behind. So imagine when they go into an ad in Facebook by Alibaba, because Alibaba also keep on promoting the platform, right? So click into the ads, join the member, then that buyer go in to check out the supplier, then send an inquiry, then receive the product. But the difference is this company, we don't stop there. We will, after receive the product, we also send the newsletter, put into the database. Then you nurture the client, okay? So that from retention, they probably can go into loyalty. Then when they place another order, then you can send them like, new product launch promo or special vouchers, special code or free shipping, special rate for clients and things like that for existing customer. Then you can drive them towards expansion so that they can recommend more clients to you. So that is also another way of doing it. Of course, been talking about so much of Alibaba. One of the things that the Malaysian SME throughout the 12 years partnership we see is they have really global active buyers, and 20 million active buyers. That is huge, a big market. They are in 200 countries, right? So more than 200 over countries, and the daily and average inquiry is 300,000. The problem is majority of this, right, doesn't fall into Malaysian. Usually you go to China or other countries, right? Malaysia do have a very strong brand stand, which is we are very reliable, we are Muslim country and things like that. And there's a few top categories like furniture, food and beverage, F&B, but it's B2B equipment and all these are also very strong, like the durians and the seafood and stuff like that. There's several categories that we are championing, like gloves and all, right? But there are also a lot that we usually have to compete in a very strong scale with many other different countries. But it's a platform that is, great to do testing, great to be a part of, so that you know which country you can go into. And for Alibaba, they are very dedicated to do this, to try to help people do business everywhere, right? So when it comes to global selling or global buying, you can see like 39% of manufacturers already have their e-commerce, so they will still put into Alibaba. Small businesses sell online also through Alibaba. You can see also like 90% above 90% of B2B buyers make their orders through mobile. So you see also Alibaba is optimizing their mobile experience and all this. When it comes to pre-COVID, the time is a little bit different. So we call traditional in-person, but after COVID, you can see it's already dropped 52%. Means from 61% people preferred the channel, which is traditional in-person, fly to your country, come and see you, see your office. Now it's only 29% of people who wants that kind of interaction. Mostly now go into what we call digital interaction. Video conferencing has increased 41%. Online chats has increased to 23%, and will continue to grow with the kind of current pandemic situation. So in a nutshell, is going digital is the way to go, right? And revenue, you can see traditional in-person has dropped 55%, obviously, because we cannot meet each other, right? Especially cross-border and all. So you can see like video conferencing, closing sales online through video conferencing has rise 69%, which is huge number. And the sales rep use online chat also increased 51%. So the behavior is now a lot of live streaming, live online trade shows, real-time chat, company videos, a lot of videos, kind of education. So video is also one of the great formats to do marketing as well. And this is just some stats about the whole Alibaba ecosystem. And top buyers distribution, you can see, of course, United States, they buy a lot. So, but Malaysia is also top 20. And the top 10 industries in Alibaba will be this F&B, agriculture, beauty, personal care, apparels, consumer electronics, vehicle accessories, office, school supply, health and medical, minerals and metal, home and garden. These are the top 10 that is out of the 300,000 daily transactions and buying inquiries, right? It flows a lot here on this. And by industry, you can see by country, different country has different patterns. Like Malaysia is F&B, vehicle and accessories, agriculture, right? Makes sense, right? For Korea, you can see it's very different. It's beauty and personal care. You know, Koreans are strong at that, right? Vehicle and accessories, health and medical, they're more known to that. Compare it to Pakistan, it's very apparel, sports and entertainment, right? Then you also notice like Thailand is office and school supplies, agriculture, F&B. So different countries like have that different strength. And Malaysia, the strength is F&B related, but not the consumer type, but the B2B in bulk type. Equipment is very, very strong, F&B equipment, and agriculture is very, very strong. Okay, let me share to you more case studies. So because the previous webinar that we had, there's a huge ask for us to share more case study actual so that you all can really understand how it works. So there's a few more that we want to share, like the Yingchun Shenyang Berhad FMCG manufacturer. Objective was to expand the business to overseas and mainly just want to get the leads, right? What they sell is beverage, baby milk powder, biscuits, confectionery, chocolates, and so forth. The strategy is increase product exposure to Europe, South America, and the American market. So result was through Alibaba, they get 50% increase of sales. And these are some stats. So they get very healthy inquiries, but not all inquiries they get to close the sales, but it was very, very healthy. Of course, among all these inquiries, there's also a lot of spam because there's also a lot of people who are not genuine, just trying to check the market rate and time. So one of the key factors of them be able to do that is they dedicate a team so that they can filter this inquiry, respond in time as well. One of the bad habits in Malaysian compared to past whole decade like that, with assisting so many SMEs on the platforms to do export, right? When you compare, let's say, example, to China, right, we always fall behind in terms of response rate. China is real time. One inquiry come in, you need a minute on that second, there's someone responding. Malaysia, average time is, a couple of days and all. So they lose out a lot of this kind of opportunity. For Yingchun, it was good because they dedicate. We also have in-focus printing Shenyang Berhad. They do also online printing and manufacture. Objective was also to get leads from overseas. What they saw was printing calendar, customized magazines and all. They wanted to increase exposure also around those kind of countries, which is South America, South in Southeast Asia, right? And inquiries not so much, but the conversion rate was good, right? It was not so many inquiries, but when they inquire, they can convert. So it was also quite good as well. Homegrown concept, a little bit different, is Aga Wood manufacturer. They wanted to increase sales, okay? Not just get leads, they want sales. So products sold was incense, cubes, essential wood oil, scented candles, and all. They wanted to make sure that the strategy was increase more SKUs out there, more options, go by product gamification, so that they can be able to get the right buyers who search for those kind of keyword trigger. So you spend a little bit more in terms of like value added service we call keyword advertising and all this. Increase 70% revenue. Enquiries not so much, but when they come in bulk. So these are the few examples of how the platforms can use. But you have to always go back to the drawing board, the funnel, how you want to plan it, what country, what's your overall branding strategy, and to be able to do that. Today we are offering this free digital export audit, so that it's free of charge. Our team will go in and see whether you are export ready or not, and what are the gaps in terms of the brand, and what kind of countries suitable for you, and things like that. It's free. Please in the chat box tap out that if you are interested. So our consultants here today to help you and assist you to give you this kind of free reports, okay, to assist you. Hope you all have get some insights in my 2 cents. And continuously, we want to continue to support the Malaysian market together with the MATRADE and the KASS International and all our other clients. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Christopher. All right, okay, we're going to move on to our 4th session for today. Our last speaker will be Mr. Edwin from MEDELLA. Mr. Edwin is actually an experienced exporter. He's actually one of our many successful clients, and he's about to share with all of you his export experience on Alibaba B2B e-commerce platform. Let's welcome Mr. Edwin.
Hi everyone, thanks Azra for the introduction, and also just want to say thanks for inviting me to share a little bit on our company, our success story. So my company is called, it's actually called Bountiful Ventures, but we are more well known as MEDELLA. Okay, MEDELLA is our household brand. All right, so we are more well known as MEDELLA. Okay, so just allow me to share my screen. Okay. So MEDELLA, that's right. So these are some of our products, our key products that you can find in the supermarket. You can find it online. Most of our products are coconut-based, right? Coconut-based products. And why are we mainly coconut products? So just a brief introduction of how we started. Quite a funny story, actually quite personal. It was quite an accidental thing. My mom was diagnosed with diabetes, and through research, I came upon, I read a lot of articles about coconut oil. This was about almost 10 years ago. So I read that coconut oil can help with diabetes. So I introduced it to my mom. My mom took coconut oil, and after 1 month of consuming coconut oil, she recovered from diabetes, and she didn't need to take all the medication for diabetes. So that's how I discovered coconut oil and introduced it into the Malaysian market. And cut the long story short, from just introducing it to friends, the demand started to grow and eventually turned into a business. So that's how we started. So this is where this is our operations in Malaysia. This is our factory in Puchong. All right, so here we do most of our packaging and our distribution happens from here. Okay, so these are some of the awards that we have achieved throughout the year. Some of these international awards. Okay, this okay, our brand MEDELLA, that's our main household brand, MEDELLA. We also have some other products, other brands. One is called Touch. Touch is actually more focused on skincare. Skincare products, also coconut-based skincare products. And then we also have Storm. Storm is pet products that is also coconut-based. All right, so we have Touch for skincare, MEDELLA is food products, and Storm are pet products that are all coconut-based. Okay, so at MEDELLA, we are quite big with export. You can see some of the countries that we are exporting to. In Malaysia, Singapore, and Brunei, our coconut cooking oil is the #1 coconut cooking oil brand in these 3 countries, Malaysia, Singapore, and Brunei. And in other countries that are listed down there, we have our presence there as well, or we have clients, we have customers from there that we either manufacture for them, OEM, or we supply, or they help us to distribute our products in these countries. And some of these customers from these countries are actually acquired through Alibaba. All right, so I'll talk more about our experience in Alibaba a bit later. So this is just very quickly some of our activities and our track record. And of course, because we are a coconut-based product manufacturer, you see a lot of coconuts, and we do a lot of production, packaging, bottling, and of course export. Export is a very big thing that we do. So these are some of the export activities to our clients around the world. We are also we have a very strong presence in supermarkets. Our products are found in every major supermarket in Malaysia, Singapore, and Brunei, especially our key product, the MEDELLA coconut cooking oil. Any major supermarket in Malaysia, you go to the cooking oil section, I'm sure you will find a product there. We also have a strong presence online. We are the #1 on Shopee and Lazada for either blended oil or healthy cooking oil. All right, you go onto these sites, our MEDELLA coconut cooking oil is also #1 on these 2 sites. Okay, so yeah, we are also very big on, I mean, in the MEDELLA group, we are a bunch of Christians, so we are very big on community works. We are very big on community give back, social work. So this is just one of our projects in Solomon Islands. We in partnership with the local government of Solomon Island, we helped them to set up a coconut factory, and we train the locals on how to process coconuts, how to produce coconut products for the benefit of the locals, to provide them with job opportunities, to provide them with education. All right, so this is one of our community works. All right, moving on. So before the pandemic, before COVID-19 happened, one activity that is a regular activity for us, something that we used to do very often, is to participate in exhibition. I think Chris mentioned that one of the 7 traditional methods was to participate in exhibition on trade shows. So that's something that we used to do quite a bit before the COVID-19 happened. So these are some of the exhibition that we participate around the globe. We used to do that very often, and of course, because of COVID-19, we cannot do that anymore. And so, as a business, that is a big thing for us. That could have been a disaster for us if we could not continue to participate in trade shows, or to continue to look for clients, to look for leads. That could have been a disaster for us. So we needed to have a good alternative. And thankfully, there was a good alternative, which of course will lead me to talk about Alibaba. All right. So the alternative was for us to go online. All right. As Chris rightfully showed you a lot of data, almost every business, because of the lack of being able to travel, to meet your clients, to participate in trade shows, going online is You don't need to be a genius to know that you need to do that. But there are many options, right? There are many platforms. So of course, Alibaba was one of the main platform, one of the main choice to go online, to display your products, to look for customers, to get leads, to get inquiries, to close sales. All right. So Alibaba. So why Alibaba? Why we choose Alibaba, and how did Alibaba help us throughout this journey? So the first point I want to highlight is that Alibaba is easily one of the oldest and biggest online B2B platform in the world, serving more than 35 million users. Okay, I don't know how accurate is that 35 million users, but I know it's a lot. I think Chris highlighted it as well. But so there's a lot of users on Alibaba. So it's very easy to get leads. It's very easy to get inquiries. All right. When we participate in trade shows, we also do not simply go and attend and participate in every exhibition, every trade show. No, we choose, right? And we choose the trade shows that we know will have our target market. We'll also have the volume, or the crowd. Will have the crowd. All right. So if we want to go somewhere or participate in things that will have a crowd, to get a good exposure for our company, to get a good exposure for our brand, to get a good exposure for our products. So it makes sense to participate on a platform like Alibaba, where there's a good crowd of people that's already on it, to get quick and immediate exposure. All right. So being on Alibaba, it has helped us to stay connected with our buyers from across the world, and we average of about 4 to 5 inquiries or leads per day. Right, 4 to 5 inquiries per day, which I don't know about other companies, but for us it's quite good. All right, for us to get 4 to 5 inquiries from international, global potential buyers is quite good, and many of them we have managed to convert to be our customers, and we are still serving them until today. All right. Cost savings. All right. To what do I mean by cost savings? To participate in physical trade shows, to participate in exhibitions is actually very costly. All right. Just the flight ticket for the team. We go as a team. Just the flight ticket to fly to the country to participate in the exhibition could already be the cost of the subscription of Alibaba. You know what I mean? So that's just a flight ticket. You know, that haven't even include the cost for setting up your booth, your trade booth, your cost of the hotel, the cost of your expenses, your daily expenses when you participate in international trade shows. So it's very costly to participate in international trade shows and international exhibitions. So of course on Alibaba is online, right? So you do not have to spend all that additional expenses to reach your client, to bring your products out to the global market. You don't have all these additional expenses. You just have to pay for the Alibaba yearly subscription, and that's it, you know. And then you just maintain your account, and then you'll get a good exposure for your company, for your products. And of course, thanks to MATRADE as well. You know, MATRADE provides grants to participate in B2B e-commerce platforms like Alibaba. So it's a subsidized cost, and it makes total sense to jump on this. Yeah. Okay. On top of that, Alibaba, on the Alibaba platform, it provides a lot of interesting, not just interesting, it provides a lot of key and helpful data. All right, that you can't really get this kind of data when you participate in physical trade shows or exhibitions. But Alibaba has a very intelligent algorithm and probably AI to let you know who are your clients, where are your clients coming from, what are their interests, you know, how do you tweak your account so you can get more of this kind of your target clients. So there's a lot of this good data that you can utilize to improve your exposure of your company, of your products on the Alibaba platform. So that is also very useful for us and has helped us to, grow grow our business, grow our presence in the global market despite of the pandemic. All right, despite of the pandemic, we still are experiencing growth thanks to such platforms like this. All right, so that's the end of my presentation. I just want to mention that we are also beneficiaries of MATRADE. We are members of MATRADE, and as it was presented just now, MATRADE has a lot of these programs, and at the MDG grant, we have utilized a lot of that, and that has benefited us a lot in our company. And also regarding PanPages Trinity, we are actually also a client of PanPages Trinity. So they have their team has helped us to set up our Alibaba account and to provide training on how to maximize our account, how to keep it active, how to keep it healthy. So thanks to also the team at PanPages Trinity for helping us. So yes, that's the end of my presentation. I'll pass the time back to Azra.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Edwin. All right. Okay, before we move on to the Q&A session, thank you so much to all the speakers for sharing a very informative insights that will definitely benefit and help all the business owners that we have in our live webinar today to expand their business globally. Okay, now let me pull out some of the questions from our viewers. Okay, some of the questions are in the Q&A chat, and some of them are in the chat box. So I'm gonna need to make sure that I didn't miss any. Okay, let's start with one question from Eugene. With regards to MATRADE registration, businesses need to provide their audits records, don't they? So new SMEs cannot register until their first FY has passed. Okay, I'm gonna open this up to, okay.
I'm here, but I cannot turn on my video because the host apparently stopped it.
Right?
So yeah, never mind, but I'm here. For the question, yes. Very new companies that are not yet in operation for more than 1 year, they will not have the audited financial report. But let's say, for example, because for our onboarding scheme, it is at least 6 months, right? So within that period, if you let's say want to apply in your 8th month of operation, instead of audited financial report, you can provide us your P&L balance sheet and your management account to replace the audited financial report. And on top of that, it is also good if you can also upload a simple letter stating that you don't have your financial auditor report because your company has only been established for less than 1 year. But usually we can just check based on your assessment document when you are established, and we should know that the officer should know that you are not you have not been established for 1 year yet, so you don't have that particular document.
Okay. All right, we actually have quite a lot of questions on the MATRADE, Mr. Adwa. I'm gonna, and some of them are similar questions, so I'm gonna pick one that is different. Okay, one from Wong. We are not sure if we have applied before. Can we apply again?
Okay, so if you have not applied, okay, if you're not sure, so there are a few ways that you can do this lah. So the first one is that you can go to the system, and if you once you are in the new application tab, and then you'll see the onboarding scheme and the DMT scheme. If you don't see the apply now button, the apply button at the onboarding scheme, that means you have applied before and has been approved under the previous e-trade program. But of course, our system is it's not, I would say, perfect. So if you need more confirmation from us, you can just always drop onboarding is Mr. Naim, or you can also drop myself an email just for us to check whether or not your company has applied or not before.
Okay. Okay, one more question for Mr. Adwa from Wajahat.
Sure.
Financial assistance is applicable to 100% foreign-owned Sdn Berhads also, or must be 51% local-owned?
It's only applicable for companies with at least 60% Malaysian-owned. So 51 cannot, so at least 60.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Mr. Adwa. Okay, we're
All right.
going to move on to next questions. Okay, there's one from Amelia. My product are B2C. Currently, I have shops in Shopee and Lazada. Should I consider Alibaba portal too? Is the target audience suitable for my business nature? This one is on Alibaba portal, so I think I'm going to pass this question to Mr. Christopher.
Well, I think if you have the capacity, then the answer is yes. You can explore Alibaba portal, like just now how Edwin has shared. Alibaba is not just for you to do transactions and all, it's also for you to gather data so that you roughly know like which country and where and all. So for that in mind, it can be done, but you probably need to have, because there's many buyers who are looking for consumer products and goods in larger volumes in Alibaba. So you need to judge whether your capacity you can go that way, because it's not going to be like a Lazada where you just sell 1 or 2 or 10, It's going to be like in bulk. So do you have that kind of capacity? If you do not have, then our export consultancy, pre-export consultancy will help you a lot. And of course, joining as a MATRADE, then you know also whether, what's the best practice and what other people are doing in your industry itself. But the answer is yes, can be done, but it's not going to be in smaller volume. It's going to be larger volume. Even if you get small volume, it's usually potential buyer testing you as a supplier. So they don't dare, like last time different, without so many people crowding in the portal. So usually you get the inquiry, you get genuine supplier, and that's it. Now it's a lot of not genuine people as well. So they that experience, so they rather test you with the medium-sized quantity. Then if you can see the process is good, everything is all right, then they go bigger and bigger quantity. But usually they go up to larger quantity. But the answer is yes, consumer product can also go into this.
Okay. All right. We also have one more, Mr. Christopher, about Alibaba, a question from Jeremy. I saw quite many trading companies engage with Alibaba for many years. What are some tips to make trading companies successful in Alibaba? How to complement our digital marketing if I already in Alibaba as gold supplier?
I think this is coincide with, I think one of in the chat as well, Alice also said that she signed up with Trinity, with Alibaba several months and don't even get any inquiry. So it really depends on the market demand and how you can optimize that demand. So having a wide range of products, making sure that your keyword coverage can reach to, because different country, right, they have different, what you call that, the language issue. So imagine like mobile phone, handphone. In our country, we call it handphone or mobile phone. For them, it could be different, cellular and things like that, you see. So you have to have a wider range of it. And for a few months, you want to hope to see result. It's very, very hard because you're competing with so many thousands or hundred thousands of other suppliers, and probably high chance your product is not so unique compared in the world, right? There will be other people doing it as well. So how do you stand up? That is the key. And also having like flexible MOQs, like you're like a manufacturer, and then you have some testimonies of buyers buying with you and good deals. Because one of the setback as a Alibaba's membership is they have the years there. The more years you are, like let's say 10 years supplier, like 2S packaging, then the algorithm, right, will bend towards all these longer term supplier. So like people like Edwin, I think a few years, right, at least. So you have a better chance in that. If not, the shortcut is you do more content, more SKU, more keywords, you advertise in the keyword advertising and all, and pair it with out of Alibaba digital assets, like your website, your hyperlocal websites and things like social media, everything you cover. Then your chances is much better. And find that niche. Let's say example, if you are competing with another Alibaba supplier in China, same exact product, but price also you lose, let's say example. And they claim that they have more variety and faster and better service, let's say. Okay, so you need to determine your value proposition. What can you guarantee but give the different experience? Just now I shared in my slide, the B2B buyers, what they require is easy, whether it can make it easier for them, whether it's the speed of things as well. So if these two things you can command stronger, let's say you can say that if as a Malaysian, you have this undying focus on client experience, okay, that is your guarantee, or that's your value proposition. So probably that should be a brand promise out there. Then you probably can have a better shot of things. If not, to me, trading companies and all have a little bit of disadvantage because there's also manufacturers there. So, people in the mind, most people, if I go direct to manufacturer, usually I get the best price. But it might not be the case, you see, because we have clients who are in the trading side where they can have the OEM or they can have the volume to commit, right? Then they'd rather give that kind of discount because they don't have to do the marketing. They rather give that kind of discount to the clients to open market, new market, so you can leverage on. So it's very hard. There's no formula for success. It's just going into it, pivot, do it better than others in other countries. For Malaysian, we have some sort of special value proposition as Malaysian. We are multicultural. We can speak multiple language and things like that. So those are the things I feel that can help you optimize and get better chances.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Mr. Christopher. Mr. Edwin, as an experienced exporter, maybe do you have some tips? Because we have a few that are actually asking about some tips on exporting on Alibaba platform.
Okay, so from our few years of experience in Alibaba, to be honest, I think there were some questions asking me about like what tools did I use, or what did I do. Honestly, there was no particular tool that we needed to use. I don't know about the other users of Alibaba, but for us, there was no particular tool that we had to use. All we had to do was to maintain the account well. Right, first of all is to put up a lot of products, put up more SKUs on the platform, number one. Number two, to make sure that the products that you put up onto the platform is of quality. Now, Alibaba, when you're putting up the product, they will inform you, oh, your picture is not good enough, your information is not good enough. So make sure that whatever that Alibaba highlights to you, you fulfill the requirement, all right? That's number two. Number three is response time. I think Chris also mentioned that response time is very important on Alibaba. The moment you do not respond to your inquiries fast enough, your rating will start to drop. But if you're very good and very quick at responding, at answering back to, giving a reply to the inquiries, your rating will go up very fast. All right. So we noticed that whenever we responded very well, we maintain our account. Our stars will. The stars for our stars will grow up very fast. Our rating will go up fast. And I noticed that Alibaba probably has an algorithm that also will push up or bring forward accounts that are active, that have good response. They will sort of push your accounts forward. So as long as you practice this, in the sense, good practices on Alibaba, the inquiries, the sales leads will come. And to be honest, we have never spent anything extra apart from the yearly Alibaba subscription. Apart from that, we have not actually spent anything else extra for the marketing or advertising. We have not done yet. But I guess for some Alibaba users, if you got a little bit more marketing budget and you want to grow faster, or maybe in your industry you have a very tight competition and you want to stand out. So yeah, you can spend a bit more, spend on advertising, spend on marketing to grow faster. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Mr. Edwin. Okay, we have a few questions for Ms. Geeta on IP. What is the difference between brand trademark and product trademark?
Thanks for the question. Thanks, Azra. Interesting question. There's no difference actually. It's whatever brand that you're using on the product. You're looking at products having a brand, services having a brand. There's this thing called house brand and product brands. Maybe that's what you're referring to. So for example, Unilever has many lines of products, right? Every time they launch a new hair shampoo or hair conditioner, they'll say another product by Unilever or another product by P&G. Those are the house brands. So literally the corporation's brands. And in the corporations, there's little brands. And then they have their own product brands. So they'll have Sunsilk, they'll have Pantene, and so on, right? The reason you have product brands and house brands, and every time you attach it to a house brand, is because the house brand has been around for many years. The house brand has goodwill and reputation, and what happens with goodwill and reputation is you have trust of the consumers. So every time a house brand launches a new product, you might not know the ABC brand of the new product, right? We all now know MEDELLA. We all know coconut oil, MEDELLA. If MEDELLA is their house brand and they launch any other product, coconut hair cream or hair oil, okay, that's food, cooking oil, and they start doing hair oil, and they brand it something else, you might not trust it. But if they brand it MEDELLA, you know their track record. I trust them. They deliver on time. They're good quality. Can you see? So the product brands are new brands, but they ride on the goodwill and reputation of the house brand. A lot of FMCG companies do this. Example is also Nestle. Nestle has Kit Kat, that's a product brand. They have Crunch, that's a product brand. They have Nescafe, that's a product brand. But it's always accompanied by the house brand called Nestle, because we trust Nestle. When they launch anything, you trust that house brand. In Malaysia, there are property companies that do this. If you recognize, they'll always say another project by BDRB, another project by Bukit Kiara Properties, another project by Sunrise. But their project name has a different brand, right? The building name has a different brand. Why are you riding on a goodwill of that house brand? That's because it's easier to make a sale. And the new brand also develops goodwill and reputation by being attached to a very good house brand. So that's a business strategy. Hope that answered the question.
All right, thank you, Ms. Geeta. There's actually one more. This one is from Stephanie. What if my trademark was rejected for registration, but I have continued to use it for many years? Do I still able to claim the trademark as mine?
All right. Stephanie, sorry to hear if it's true and it's got rejected. I'm sorry to hear that. In Malaysia, yes, because Malaysia practices a first to use principle I was referring to earlier. You have used it for many years. You have rights. It's unregistered trademark rights. It's just that if someone copies the brand in court, you just then have to prove that you are the true owner of the brand. You have to bring evidence of ownership. You have to show that you've built up goodwill and reputation, and that the person that's copying the brand is misrepresenting to the public that they are associated to you or they are a company linked to you. And then there's damages to be suffered. Can you see, like I'm already pointing out, okay, you have to prove this, you have to prove this, and you have to prove this. It doesn't get easy in court then. It's more difficult to challenge a copycat in court when you do not have your trademark registered. But it is not impossible in Malaysia because first to use has better rights than first to file. If you have your trademark registered, it could be for various reasons, that the mark is similar to an existing brand or the mark is descriptive. Descriptive brands cannot be registered or it's very difficult to get it registered. Well, try to get it registered. There's always a process of starting it again. Ideally, you have that certificate because it's easier on e-commerce platforms when there's a copycat or in the brick and mortar world, in the physical world to take an action. Don't give up. So I had an experience with a client who had Bagus for curtains. It's a very famous brand, right? For Malaysian curtains. You all know Bagus curtains. It's a well-established brand. But bagus in Malay means good. It means great. And that's very laudatory. You're saying that my product is great. How can one person, one business owner, have a brand that is so descriptive or generic for their products? So they got rejected twice by the Malaysian IP office. The trademark office rejected it. But there's this thing called acquired distinctiveness. If you have been using it for many years, you have educated me and all the public that that is my brand. It's like Body Shop for body care products, Clean and Clear for face wash. A lot of brands can have acquired distinctiveness by being in the market for many years. And that's how we argued with the Intellectual Property Office and secured a trademark registration for Bagus for curtains. So I don't know why, Stephanie, your trademark was rejected, but yeah, let us know if you need help. But there's always a strategy behind it, especially if you've been in the market for many years. Right. Thank you, Azra.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Gita. Okay, we have a question from Alice. Trademark in local Malaysia, is it claimable under MATRADE grant? For trademark overseas is, okay, it's actually two questions.
Okay, go ahead with the second question.
Okay, for trademark overseas, is it fully claimed so long within the subsidy of 30K?
All right. The first one is Malaysian based, the Malaysian application is not covered. MATRADE, as you all know, encourages Malaysian local businesses to venture into the export world, to take your brand outside of Malaysia. So this specific grant, the market development grant, is to encourage that. So your Malaysian application is not covered, but it's not expensive, so don't worry too much about that. It's the cost of registering your IP outside of Malaysia. Yeah, so that's what it covers. So when you go abroad, that is covered. And is Madrid Protocol covered? Yes, that will be covered. Especially at the moment you do an international application and you file outside of Malaysia and there's foreign currency, that evidence when submitted to MATRADE will be recognized.
Okay. Okay, for the second question, Ms. Gita, for trademark overseas, is it fully claimed so long within the subsidy of 30K?
Yeah, so 30,000, right? It is per application. And Anwar is looking, so I might need his help here. It's very interesting because when we asked MATRADE about this, per application means that one trademark in one country. So that 30,000, when you do an international application, we are designating a few countries. What we would suggest is to do Madrid Protocol application, the international application as one application. When you designate a few countries, the cost increases. So we can very quickly surpass 30,000 ringgit. So Encik Adwa, when it says per application, through the international application process, you can actually file in 15 countries, but that takes up the cost to 100,000 ringgit. So how would MATRADE treat Madrid Protocol applications, which is a specific system, to file in like many countries?
Okay, so if I talk too much, I might be sharing wrong information. So I'm just gonna give you a general way of how MDG works. So for MDG, in the case of international trade fairs, for example, so if you go to International Trade Fair A, that's one application. If you go to International Trade Fair B, that's another application. So both applications are entitled up to 25,000 each. So in the case of IP, if it works the same way, so if you go for IP for country A, that's 30,000. If you go for country B, that's another 30,000. If you go for country C, that's another 30,000. So that should be how it works. But for your peace of mind, it's check with them.
No, so like the one that you're referring to, yeah. So I knew it's a difficult question, Encik Arwa. In fact, it's something that probably needs to be clarified between MIPO and MATRADE. I think, Azra, the strategy would be for local businesses to then file directly each country per application. So let's say it's 5,000 in Thailand, 5,000 in Indonesia, 6,000 in Singapore. Do it separately. In the Madrid Protocol application, it's one application in many countries. Very quickly, we'll touch 30,000. But now that it's 30,000 per application, it's better to just do it individually. Because local entrepreneurs who are exporting, maybe you're looking at 6 to 10 countries maximum, right? But when you hit 10 countries, I can see Madrid Protocol being more expensive than 30,000 ringgit. But when you do it per application, you're still within 30,000 each application. Yeah, that means direct route. If that's confusing people, I'm going to say the direct route might be better using the grant. But do remember, right, when you're tuning into this webinar, the grant is 30,000 ringgit for intellectual property rights per application, 70,000 ringgit for advertising and promotion per application. It is cost incurred this year. So please remember that. You literally need to show that the activity was done this year. So you can't wait in that sense to utilize this for 2022 plan. All right, thank you, Azra.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Gita. I think that has answered a few other questions together as well. Okay, this one, either Mr. Christopher or Mr. Adwa can answer this. In order to obtain the MATRADE grant, do we need to register with Alibaba too?
MATRADE grant?
Yes.
Might not be, because I think the grant enables you to export. So there's many other options out there. But of course, Alibaba is one of the channels that you can use to apply. I think, Mr. Awa, you correct? There's also others, right? You can use for.
Chris is correct. So the eTrade 2.0 incentive can be used to join any cross-border e-commerce platform as long as the platform is cross-border. So Alibaba.com is one of them, but there are also others.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. The speakers, do we still have time to answer questions, because we actually have overrun 15 minutes? Or was there any specific questions?
We can get all these questions. I think our consultants, if it's, let's say,
definitely
directed to Edwin, then we compile for Edwin. If it's directed to MATRADE, for Alva or Gita, for in terms of IT or anything got to do with digital marketing, then go to us. Then we can actually do that, can go offline.
Yes,
not,
all right,
never end.
of course.
And then second off is the digital export readiness audit report. Just get it, get the consultant, just tell us whether you are interested or not. Within that part, we will cover also the trademarking, the application of MATRADE, all this kind of stuff. So that is a one-stop thing, then one channel, then we can disperse out to all our other partners. It's easier for you all. Remember, I've said B2B buyer, ease and speed. So make it easier for all of you.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much to all speakers. We are actually receiving more and more questions as we speak. Actually, like some of the questions even asking about Amazon platform. I'm so sorry that we are running out of time. We're actually already over.
Handling Amazon through MATRADE. They also MATRADE the facilitator of the grants. Also one of my good friends. So yeah, we could help you. Just let us know. Put into that audit, that survey thing. We put it in. If we don't have the capability, we will direct it to the right parties through MATRADE, through whoever, right? Janji Malaysia boleh, right? Doesn't matter whether we do business or not.
Yes, that's right. Okay, thank you so much to all our audience today for all your questions. Thank you. If you are interested in our product packages, there's a link in our chat box for you to fill in. Our consultant will provide you with more information after this webinar. Okay, we will compile all of the questions. We'll attend to you accordingly. All right. Once again, before our webinar end, we would like you all to fill in the survey form in our chat box. Tell us how we did and what are the topics that you guys are interested, so that we can cover that in our next webinar. Right, thank you so much to all speakers for your sharing, for your insights, for your time spent with our audience for today. And
I especially want to thank Mr. Edwin, being a client of ours for so long. Hopefully, we can continue to bring you better milestones, right? And of course, our partners like Gita and MATRADE Adva have been working with you all, hopefully more and more, right, to help the SMEs market. So thank you so much for today.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Azra, too.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Azra.
Bye, guys.
All right.
Keep on trying.
Thank you so much.
Stay safe.
Okay, bye.